guys, and welcome back onto my YouTube channel. So today guys, I just want to get straight into this video because this is something that I really wanted to share with you, that I feel God wants me to share. It was actually something that I experienced last night, but by the time this video is up it probably wouldn't be last night. But it's just something that I experienced. It did feel like an out of body experience. It is quite significant and a bit let's say my body was in a lot of shock just from the experience of it. I'm going to try and explain it in the easiest way, but let's just say, let me just kind of rewind back a bit before I get into that. Just about a lot of things that God has been sharing with me, and just how He's really opening up my eyes and my spiritual ears to a lot of things that's going on around. It's been a lot, and yeah, like, let's just say, okay, there was one time that I was praying and I had this vision. Now at first I thought I was going crazy when I seen these things, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I share this with people they're gonna think I'm losing the plot. And you guys might think I'm losing the plot when you hear this video today, but hopefully you don't, and you actually, you know, hear it out and take it quite seriously. I had a vision and there was like this reddish sky, so you know kind of what you see like when sunset, sunrise, well, it's kind of ish, reddish, orangish, but this was quite red, and it was like this big land underneath, and it just looked like a destructed land, like just war, and it just looked, you know, a mess. And that was one vision. I just see it was like a glimpse of a picture. And then I had another vision where I believe it was either the same night or it was the night after. This was, gosh, a couple months ago now, I think it was. And it then was a vision of like again, just a picture that I quickly seen of like the skies, you know, the clouds and stuff. And there was a certain patch like right in the middle. I actually drew it when drawn it, whatever, down that night, not that day, when it happened. And it's crazy because which I'll get into in a minute, I actually seen it in real life. I remember referring back to my book, and I was just going through some of my notes, and I forgot I actually like put it down, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's exactly what I seen in real life. And it literally like the clouds, and then there was like this patch like right in the middle of like, you know, this big glow of light, and just like God's glory like just shining down on like a specific part. And that was just a quick picture. And then about a month after, or some weeks after, basically I had seen this in real life. So what happened was that one morning I woke up, like, this is in the physical, no dream, no nothing, no just glimpse of a picture. This is awake, I'm wide awake, okay? So I woke up one morning, and then all I heard was like big raindrops on my window, like, you know, drop, drop, but they were quite like heavy, large bits of rain. And I remember I'd like left some washing or something out in the garden, so I quickly ran out thinking, oh, let me go and get it. And the rain was very slow, like it wasn't, you know when rain starts, it then starts getting heavier, doesn't it, and like comes down faster. It wasn't like that. And then when I got outside, I was like, wait. Like, I was about to take stuff in, then I was like, hold on, wait, this rain isn't getting any faster. And then I was like, God, why do I feel like I'm out here for a reason? And at the same time, I'm having these doubts in my mind as well, because, like, you know, the enemy comes and puts doubt in our mind. And I was having these doubts at one point, like, you know, I'm thinking, God, like, are you bringing me out here for a reason? And then there was the other half of me like, oh, you know, no, I'm going crazy, you know, I'm not hearing God, like, why would God bring me out here? Like, it's just rain. And anyway, so then the sky captured my eye. The rain stopped, by the way, all of a sudden, and then the sky caught my eye. And I was looking at the sky, and I was like, God, like, why do I feel like you're, you know, you're trying to show me something? And the sky never catches my eye. Like, I don't not generally like stare at the sky or anything like that. Like, it just caught my eye that day. And I stare at the sky, and then all of a sudden, after like a few minutes or so, or about a minute, I see what I see in the vision, like both of the visions that I had. So on one side, so imagine I'm looking at the sky like here, and then on one side was like this reddish kind of sky, and then literally looked like this land. So imagine you're looking up in the sky and you just look like there's like another land there, like you're looking at another country or something, and it's just up in the sky, like, and it would just look like that destructed land. And then on the other side, so this side as well is fading away. By the way, when I woke up, it was like 9 o'clock or something, so this wasn't quite normal to see at this time of the day. And then on the other side was like this kind of so you see in the cloud, I seen the clouds like I seen in my vision, and then this like right in the middle there was like this glow of light, like so bright. And then I remember seeing shooting down, like it was shooting down on something specific. So it wasn't just a glow like just sitting there, it was like shining down on something, and you could see the reflection. And I remember thinking, what on earth is it shining on? I was thinking it was something literally, you know, on the ground. And I looked like that, and then I literally seen this massive like land again. Wait, was that in my vision before? I don't know, but basically it was literally like this massive land. And imagine, I was staring at it, I was like, wait, what? Am I going crazy? And I was just like, what the heck is going on right now? And then all of a sudden I started seeing these trees, and like it literally looked like a massive garden. So imagine you're just looking at a big garden, it looked like that in the sky. Can you imagine? And no, I'm not going crazy, I'm not losing the plot. I actually got this confirmed as well to make sure I wasn't losing my head, but it was definitely there. And even after that, I've like looked at the sky to think, you know, is that my imagination? Like maybe I've just like created something in my head. And I've looked at the sky so many times after that, and I've not seen that again. So definitely God was showing me something that day. And when I seen this in the sky, I kept hearing him say the Garden of Eden, like I'm restoring the Garden of Eden. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I heard him say that the reason why the red sky was fading away was because God was saying that the old is old and this is fading away, and now the new is new, and this is what's happening, and that God is about to restore to the earth. You know, he's about to send his restoration, revival, and he's about to bring his glory to earth. He's about to restore. And this isn't just I felt like it was personal to me as well, but I do believe this was a nation thing, and this was God basically saying that the new is new, and it is coming, and it is here, and we're to get ready for that. And yeah, God is about to do some amazing things, and it's up to us if we want to choose to walk with God or not walk with God, and you know, walk with God in these things and then what he's about to bring or not. So it is your choice. But the point of this video was not that part, but I just wanted to show you some of the things that God started to show me, and especially in relation to the nation. But apologies for this video, by the way, being really long, because I'm about to get into a whole experience that I went through yesterday. If this does get too long, by the way, guys, I might, you know, put this into 2 separate videos, but we shall see. So there has been a few other experiences that I've had as well, things that God has shown me. I mentioned one other thing that he's shown me. I mean, there's millions. I'm a big dreamer, by the way, guys. God speaks to me a lot through dreams. And also I'll just put it out there that from a young age, God, so many people has prophesied to me and said that God has called you as a prophet, and I was trying to run from it all my life. I can't even lie to you, I was running and running and running, because I've noticed that some people like long for that calling, and I'm gonna get into that in a bit, because let me tell you, it's not something I wish upon anyone, but if God's chosen you as well, it is a blessing as well. Like, it is amazing. But I don't that's my son. I don't wish it upon anyone, because the experiences are, yes, some amazing, but some, like, you will see things that are just like crazy, and some are frightening, because you're seeing the heavenly realm, the demonic realm. Like, you don't just get to experience just the heavenly side. Sorry if you can hear the toilet, my son's in the bathroom. You don't just get to hear like the heavenly side. I mean, see the heavenly side, like you'd see what goes on this side as well, and that's just the way it is basically in the spiritual realm. So boy, but yeah, so since from a young age, like I was told like so many times that you've been called as a prophet, and I weren't really trying to hear it. Like, oh, you know when you get words and you just like, like kind of, okay, like, and what? But then, you know, I've had so many other experiences when going through life. I'll do some more videos on that, guys, because y'all need to hear this, and y'all need to see how real this stuff is. Basically, sorry, I'm going on and on, but yeah, God has shown me a lot, and I was trying to run from my calling, but let me tell you, you can run, but you cannot hide. Like, and I have put my hands up. I'm like, okay, God, like, I surrender. I'm here. Like, use me, I am here. Use me as your vessel. I surrender to you. My life is not my own, and it belongs to you, and I've not turned back since. I'm not said it's been easy. It has been a hard journey, but hey, when you surrender to God, yeah, the things that you will start to experience, see his love as well. Hey, that is the biggest part of it, is God's love filling you, changing you, renewing you. And then, yeah, each of us individually have our own callings on our lives, purposes, specific callings to, you know, yeah. But anyway, so guys, basically, so recently as well, I had this experience, out of body experience again, and this one, it was like I was literally taken out of my body, and it was like I dropped in this big black hole. Now I couldn't see anything, but I'm telling you now, I could hear hell. I felt like I was in hell. I could hear screaming, groaning. This is literally what it sounded like, right? Don't get scared, but this is the reality of it. It literally sounded like like all these screamings, and honestly, it was like traumatic, like, but that was only a teensy bit of what hell sounds like, and it is scary. And then all of a sudden I started hearing like one specific woman quite close, and she was very loud, like she was near me, and honestly I could feel like this, like, you know when you could sense something around you, like, and it was just like I could feel it around, but I couldn't see it, so my eyes could not see, but I could feel, I could hear, and no one was touching me, by the way. I could just sense it around, like, and stuff. And then I remember this woman was like, Ezekiel, Ezekiel, ah, Ezekiel. She kept saying Ezekiel, and I could sense like this anger, like towards God, and like she was angry at God because like God chose Ezekiel. And I don't know if many of you know about Ezekiel, prophet Ezekiel in the Bible, but yeah, I could literally hear her saying like Ezekiel, Ezekiel, and it was crazy. I'm telling you, like, imagine hearing someone screaming someone's name, and like she was so angry at God. And so prophet Ezekiel, as I've just mentioned, is a big prophet in the Bible, and if you haven't read about him, go and read it. Like, it is crazy. And I hadn't read about him before I haven't read that book in the Bible before this happened, by the way. And yeah, it was just a crazy experience. So then I remember like crying out, and I was like, God, please get me out, get me out, get me out, get me out, get me out. And I was literally like so like scared, but at the same time, like, I know that God allowed me to experience that, to hear that for a reason. God would not allow me to hear that if he knew I wasn't strong enough to handle it. I was strong enough to handle it. At the time, obviously, it can be scary, it can be a bit traumatic, but God knew that I had that strength to handle it because he'd given me that strength. So the experience I had last night, basically, it started off feeling like it was a bit of a dream, and then halfway it felt like more like a spiritual I'd say encounter, or like an out of body experience. I don't know if any of you guys have felt that, and for those who are not aware of God or not a believer, just to make you aware that we are a spirit being living in our bodies. So when I refer to a spiritual encounter, it means that my spirit was outside of my body, like it wasn't physically in this body when I say an out of body experience. So it's nothing like to scare you or, you know, anything like that. Like, we are literally a spirit being in our bodies. Basically, so last night, let's get into the gritty of it. So it started off like a dream, as I said, and basically I was talking to, so I don't know if some of you know, like Apostle Toby. Basically I was speaking to Apostle Toby, by the way, for those who don't know him. He's my pastor at Light London, and I've known him for like 12-13 years because he used to be my pastor in Northampton. But in the dream, I was in this room. So say if I'm like standing here and then there was a window like down there, Apostle Toby was like in front of me, and then he was sat on a chair, and then my son was stood next to me, and I came over to him, and I remember I was talking to him about something, to Apostle, and basically I was saying to him, I don't know what I was saying to him. I was saying something, it was so silly what I was talking to him about, whatever, it was something so minor, and then he was like, yeah, and then he was just like, oh, let me pray for you, and I was like, okay. And then he started speaking in tongues, right? And then so then, oh my gosh, this is when it happened. So I remember I was stood in this angle and I could see the window like out that way, and I remember like looking at the window, and then all of a sudden I seen like these spirits outside. So, and I knew they were demonic spirits because it's weird, because they looked like people, they were imitating people. Okay, so there would look like there was people hanging out of windows, like, you know, staring out their windows or whatever, and then these spirits were like hanging out in front of them. It's kind of hard to explain, but there was a specific girl that I'd seen, right, and there was, so this demonic spirit was imitating her. He was like, I said he, referring to the spirit, but like this demonic spirit was her, but a spirit, and because they can turn themselves into anyone and anything, and it was laughing and mocking people, and I remember it looking towards me, and I don't know if it was mocking me, it was definitely mocking people, and I remember seeing it, I was like, oh my god, look at that. And as I went to say it, you know when you say it in your head and you're trying to say it out your mouth, and then it was like I was mute, and then I was trying to like point, and then I remember like, even when I was trying to like say it, like no one could hear me. And then I remember looking around, my son was there sitting down, he ended up sitting down on a chair, he was staring at Apostle, and then like just kind of like sitting there, like, you know what children do, just like messing around, like whatever. And then Apostle was sitting there and he was praying, he was still speaking in tongues, and then I remember like looking at my son, looking at Apostle, and I was like, wait, why can't they hear me? And it was at that moment I knew that I wasn't in my body anymore, like, and I was out my body. And I'm telling you, this was in the physical as well, like my spirit was taken out, and I will get to why I felt like that as well. So then I was like, what is going on? And then I looked at my son and he was just like, he didn't even know I was there anymore, and these spirits were outside. Then all of a sudden it was like bam, I was in my bedroom, this bedroom, but it looked slightly different. It was just like changed around a little bit. And then I remember I was on the floor and I was like in this white cloak thing, and I remember crying out to God, and I was like, God, have mercy on me, have mercy on the nations. I was crying out so much for the nations, and I remember feeling like my chest was tightening up so much, right? And I remember feeling like it was even my very last breaths, like I was on death's door. It literally felt like I was about to step into another dimension, like I was about to come face to face to God. And that's what it felt like I was about to step into that place. And I was like, God, have mercy. I was like, God, use me as your vessel. Like my spirit was crying out to God, like, use me as your vessel. I need you, Lord. I need you in my life. I need you. And I just kept repeating it. I kept crying out for the nations, kept crying out for myself. And honestly, my chest was so tight, but I did not care at that point. That I wanted to use every last breath that I had on God. Like all I needed was God, all I wanted was God. And honestly, I felt like I was about to face him, and I really felt like I was going to die, right? But obviously I don't think I was going to literally die, but I felt like God was allowing me to experience that door of death, should I say, in a sense, to share with you as well, for me to see how thin the line is between life and death, that we take for granted and that we mess about with, essentially. And we play with fire. But let me get back to what happened in the room. So that was happening, and then I remember hearing Satan like behind me, and he was laughing, like mocking me, like as in to say like, God's not gonna have mercy, he's not gonna save people, he's not gonna save the nation, he's not gonna save you, and just laughing, trying to really like make me fearful. And I remember standing up off the floor, and I remember like I've got chest of drawers like right next to here, and I remember on the chest of drawers, I don't actually have this like in real life, but like there was a massive mirror on the chest of drawers, and I remember looking into the mirror, and there were these piercing evil eyes, like evil eyes staring back at me to scare me, to try and make me fearful. And you can't exactly hear the words of what someone or something's saying, but you can hear it in your head or sense what they are saying. And it was if like Satan was trying to say that, again, like I said, God's not gonna have mercy on you, like, oh, you're the bad one, you're the evil one, look at you, like kind of putting me down and making me doubt myself. And then I remember just like, no, I turned around and I was like, no, and I got back down on that floor and I was like, God, have mercy. I was like, God, please. I was like, God, use me as your vessel, use me as your mouthpiece, my God. And I remember like literally it was like I constantly just hearing Satan laugh, and I was like, literally, honestly, it was such a crazy experience, right? I don't know if you guys can feel like kind of what I'm getting at, or like kind of have an idea of what was going on. And then all of a sudden I woke up in the physical, and I remember it was literally like I was literally like, God, what just happened? What just happened? It literally felt like my body, my spirit just went bang back into my body, and my head was like bang, bang, bang. Like imagine having like a migraine, right? But it was like, it wasn't even a migraine, it was like beyond a migraine. It was crazy. And like literally even my chest was like, it literally felt like tight, but it was like feeling like it was being released, if that makes sense. So like imagine during this experience, my chest was like, but it wasn't a tight, it didn't feel like like that. It was more like, it's so tight in like my last breath, but I'm like, God, use me, da da da, I'm like crying out. So then in the physical, it literally felt like it was tight, but it was being released. And literally it felt like, yeah, that my spirit just got dropped back in. And it was like my body was in a state of shock a bit, because it was like my body was still taking time to adapt to it just, you know, come alive again. And I know that sounds a bit crazy, but it's hard to explain, and if you've ever experienced it or kind of know what I'm talking about, then you'll understand. But unless you experience it, it is quite hard to you know, grasp what that might have felt like. But yeah, it was just crazy. And then I remember I was literally sat on the bed. I remember switching on the light in my bedroom, and then I was like, God, no one can ever deny you. No one can ever deny you. Like, you are so real. You are any doubt that has ever come into my mind before. I was like, God, I am sorry. I'm sorry. And I'm like, I literally felt like there was a big shift in the atmosphere, and like everything had changed in my life. Everything had just moved, shifted, and it was just like, bam, right, that's it. Like everything had just moved forward. And yeah, I was like, no, like this is crazy. And I remember just starting to speak in tongues, and I was just like, no, like I can't believe this has just happened. Like I can't believe I've just experienced that. And it was the feeling more that was the crazy experience. And then all of a sudden I heard my son's like in his room, right, again in the physical, we're all awake here, and my son was in his room, and he was like, Mummy, he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, why is he awake? And I was like, it was so weird. It was like 1, 2 in the morning. I think it was about 1. And I was thinking, wait, what? And it just clicked in my head. Like it was, and it was like as well, like my spirit was just so awake in my body that I was just like so alert, so like it was crazy. But like I guess I heard my son, and I was like come in, like come here, and I told him to come into the room. And I remember just tears like drooling down my face, and I was asking him like why was he awake and stuff, and he was like, Mummy, what's wrong, like what's happened? I was just like, Justin, just know that God is real. Like we can never deny him. We need to live for him. Like God is amazing. He is graceful, merciful. And by the way, guys, I know some of you might have different opinions on, like, you know, how you explain things to children and stuff, but my son is going to be 9 next week, and I feel like he's at that age that he can understand quite a lot. We've had lots of discussions, not about too much like getting into spiritual, like, you know, depth or stuff, but I'm quite patient and quite like careful with how I release things to him, how I talk to him about things, because you don't want to scare children, but you want to, you know, you want to demonstrate God's love through you to them. But you want to like make sure that you're not freaking them out basically, and just not scaring them to God, but you're more, you know, being open and honest with them, but at the same time drawing them in, you know, bringing them into God with love and open arms. But sorry guys, let me just get back to what I was saying. Even though I say all that, my son was a little bit like kind of thrown back a bit, like what's going on kind of thing, and I think he was a little bit of fear kind of rushed through his body, because he was just like kind of like the fact that he was awake, and the fact that I was like so like my lip just went really weird, what the hell. Sorry, but yes, the fact that he was like looking at me kind of like, why am I like that, why am I crying, and why am I saying this, but I really just wanted Justin, my son's name is Justin if you don't know already, I really wanted him to know at that point that God is real and it's serious. Like, you know, God is loving, but at the same time he's a serious God. So, you know, we had a little talk anyway, and I just asked to pray with him, but I felt so strongly, right, because I asked him like, how long were you awake, like did you just wake up or what? And he said that how he was awake for about like 20 minutes before. My son's not accurate with like time, he didn't have a watch on him, so I'm guessing he just meant like quite a while before I was awake. And I felt so strongly that God had woke him up on purpose, and that was a reason why he was awake at that point. He never wakes up in the night, never, unless he is desperate to go to the toilet. He's a heavy, deep sleeper. So for him to be wide awake at that time was definitely not a coincidence. Like, I know that God had woke him up for a reason, whether that's for him to be awake while I was experiencing this, not for him to see anything, but just maybe there's something going on in the spiritual world, and God wanted to just, you know, make sure Justin was awake and not asleep, and, you know, not at a vulnerable state or whatever. I don't know exactly, or whether God just wanted him awake so I could pray with him when I woke up. So I don't quite know exactly on that part, but what I do know is that I do feel strongly in my heart that God wanted him awake at that point. So I do believe that God allowed me to experience this and awaken me, because he wants me to share this with you guys, to warn you guys, to warn myself, to fix up, to show me how serious God is, to also warn people and show people how close we are to the end times. Now, that could be 10 years, that could be 100, that could be 1,000. God's timing is different to ours. However, we are near. That could be next week. Hopefully not, because I mean, I want to kind of do a lot of things before that happens, but basically it is quite near. And also the fact that, you know, that this whole line between life and death, you know, is a very thin line, and a lot of us take it for granted. And I just feel so strongly that God wants me to warn you guys and to take serious the fact that we need to stop playing with fire. We need to stop playing about with our life. We need to stop playing about with the enemy, because he is playing about with us. He is trying to deceive us. He has got so many plans and tricks up his sleeve, and I am telling you, he is mocking people. He is mocking us. He is laughing. He is having an enjoyment, and he doesn't even want me to share this with you guys now. But the God has allowed me to experience and see certain things, because hey, God wants to use me as his vessel. He wants to use me as his mouthpiece, and that's another thing that I had felt so strongly that God was saying from what I experienced last night, is that he wants to use me as his mouthpiece to the nations. I have hidden away for too long. I have kept my mouth closed for too long. I have held back, sometimes because I've doubted myself. Actually, a lot of times because I've doubted myself, because the enemy has shut me down. And why? Because the enemy knows that God is about to use me mightily. God has chosen me as a vessel, and he wants to choose many of you. You have a choice. Have you ever heard that saying, many are called but few are chosen? You have a choice whether God calls many, but to choose you, to choose you. Listen, there is many of you, many, but God handpicks the very few that he knows is gonna go, yeah? And I'm telling you, it is your choice to listen and to go. But I am telling you, you need to take God seriously. And if he is calling you, and if he is putting something on your heart to do, and if he is telling you to go and speak, if he is telling you go and sing, if he is telling you go and travel the world to do this, to do that, you don't know what he's going to use your mouth and to do, or who to touch, or, you know, whose soul you could save, and who, you know, God could use you to get to. You don't know the amount of people that you could really help by you just being obedient and listening. And for too long I wasn't listening. For too long I was not being obedient. For too long I was allowing the enemy to shut me down. But enough is enough. For too long, yeah, I was thinking, oh, but people might think this about me. Oh, but I don't have much experience. Oh, but this, but that. People probably have more experience than me. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I have had it. That's it. I'm like, you know what? I don't even care what people want to think anymore. I don't care what people want to say anymore. I don't care. Do you know why? Because I am the one who's going to have to face God on Judgment Day by myself. You are going to have to face God on Judgment Day by yourself. Do you want God to stand there and say, but I wanted you to do this, but I told you to do this, I told you to do that, why didn't you do it? Why? Why didn't you do it? You're going to have to hold accountability for your own actions. Let me just tell you, yeah, I would not want to be in that place. For too long, I was running. For too long, I would have been in that place. And you know, God had mercy on me and forgave me for my whole past and changed me so much as a person. And let me tell you, yeah, just even this journey with God, like, it's just so many things have been opening up, so many things have just been revealed, you know, just trusting God as well. Like, let me tell you, he pulls through for things. I am telling you, yeah, I've been praying for things. I have, let me just tell you, God works in mysterious ways. There are still things, yeah, that I'm going through now. Like, I'm not perfect. There was a lot of things that I'm going through and stuff, but let me tell you, like, I am trusting God. And last night was just a big eye-opener. Yeah, I don't want to be playing no more. I can't be playing no more. I'm going to allow God to use my voice as a mouthpiece, and I just feel so strongly that things are about to shift and change. After my experience, as I mentioned before, where I heard that woman like screaming Ezekiel, like, I knew that there was something that about Ezekiel that God wanted me to know, or like it was a similar calling on my life. And I remember speaking to a few prophets like at my church, and who basically said the same thing, that it does sound like God is calling you to, like, God is calling you like he called prophet Ezekiel. So I started reading it a bit, like when I had this experience a month or two ago, and I remember I read a bit of it, but I didn't go into too much depth of it, and I remember like forgetting about it for a bit and just reading other scriptures. And but yesterday, for some reason, like, I really felt strongly to go and read it. Well, I was listening to it on audio Bible. So audio Bible, basically. So I was listening to it, and there was something specific, right, that was said in Ezekiel, and I'm going to quickly read it. It's very short, by the way. So it's in Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 30, and this is the New International Version, by the way, guys. So verse 30, I looked for someone among them who would build up the wall and stand before me in the gap on behalf of the land, so that I would not have to destroy it. But I found no one. So when I was listening to this yesterday, it didn't quite click. But when I woke up from this experience last night, it clicked. God is looking for his gap fillers, his wall builders, his nation builders, his yeah, basically he's looking for the people to fill that gap, his bridge builders, his everything, basically, those people that he's looking to fill this gap. Yeah, he is looking for people, and he's was looking for me, and he's chosen me, and he wants to look for you too. Are you going to let him choose you? Are you going to listen? Are you going to be obedient to his voice? Are you going to do what he's asked you to do? I suggest taking this seriously and being obedient. We are in extreme serious times, and I don't want to say that in a scary way. I mean, God is a loving and an amazing God, and he will change your life so much for the better. Like, you won't want to turn back, and you will always have his spirit living in you. But we need to also look at the fact that things are serious. God is a serious God, and he does not play games, y'all. He does not play games. And hey, I'm telling you, yeah, it was just a shift. It was a shift. It was an eye-opener. And some of you might listen to this video and think, wow, this girl is actually crazy and losing her mind. But you know what? That's your own. That's your own, because I'm just here to share the message, to do God's work. And if you want to just sit there and be judgmental George, then fine, by all means be judgmental George. But I'm telling you, you're gonna have to face God one day, whether you like it or not. You're gonna have to face it. And I was saying this to someone earlier, that we need to live every day like it's our last breath. Like, we take life for granted so much. We should be grateful every day that we wake up that we actually have breath. Do you know how grateful I was this morning to just be able to wake up. Grateful that I woke up from that experience that I had. Like, I was in such a shock. Like, I was like I was just so grateful that like I was able to live. Like, not that I was going to die, but just the fact that it literally felt like I was at death's door, experiencing that, and how thin that line was. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like, God is real. We're gonna have to face him. We are going to leave this body one day. This body is going to die one day, and back to the dust it goes. From the dust we came, and back to the dust we go. And our spirit will go to either heaven or hell. Are you going to choose heaven or hell? God or the enemy? Life or death? I just hope that you choose right. And I hope that this video has been an eye-opener for you guys. I mean, I'm going to continue to share a lot more that God places on my heart to share. But I really just wanted to, you know, the experience that I have had and me sharing with you, you know, the calling that God has placed on my life, and you know, the fact that he wants to use me is not a way to boast or anything like that. Do you know what, as I said before as well, is that about the calling of a prophet, let's say, I do not wish it upon anyone, okay? And yes, it is amazing to be able to, you know, for God to choose you. Oh my gosh, it is amazing. Like, it feels like such an honor, but it is a massive responsibility, yeah? And it's a lot. Like, yeah, you'll have heavenly experiences, and yes, you'll have encounters with God, and you know, this or that and things, but you'll also have a lot of demonic encounters. You'll see a lot of things in the demonic realm, and it's not a pretty sight. Like, you have to be strong to be able to experience some of the things. This, what happened last night, God knew that I could handle that. God knew that I was strong enough to handle that. Had you have told me days before that that was going to happen, I would have been like, no, 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 no. And fear probably would have rushed through my body, and I would have been like, no, no, I don't want to experience it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to nothing. Because it is quite scary. Like, it is, you know, a big experience, but I was able to handle it. God knew I could handle it, and God knew what it was going to change in me. God knew what it was going to shift in my life. God knew what was going to happen, that there was going to be a shift in the atmosphere. God knew what he was doing. So I just hope and I just pray that you take this video seriously. I pray that you hear God. If he's calling you, he is calling you. So I pray that you hear him. I pray that you be obedient. And if you don't know like Christ already, I pray that this video is an eye-opener and you give your life to Christ. And if you want to message me, feel free to message me and we can talk through it. If you need any guidance towards anything or anywhere, I'm here. My arms are completely open. I am an open vessel to God, and I am open for God to use me for his glory. And I'm taking things seriously now. Yeah, I'm still a happy, joyful person, and I'm still me. Like, I'm still Rebecca, but at the same time, I'm taking my walk even more serious. I'm, you know, taking serious the fact that God has placed such a big responsibility on my life, a big you know, calling, and how serious things are in the shift that has happened. I remember as well that when I went back to sleep last night, I then had a dream, and I remember I was pregnant. So wouldn't be literally pregnant, but pregnancy represents like destiny, purpose, etc. It could represent other things, like depending on, you know, it's different to everyone, but I felt like to me it represented something to do with like destiny, like my future. And I was pregnant, and I was heavily pregnant, and I remember, right, so this baby, right, so imagine like you've got a baby in your tummy, and normally, you know, as a woman, most of you know, like if you're old enough to know this, hopefully you're all old enough to know, it will come out again, you know what, you know, the baby will come out there. But because obviously it was a dream, that's not what happened. So instead the baby like was under my clothes, and it kind of like unraveled under my clothes. It was really weird. And I remember seeing the baby and I was like, wait, it's come early? Like, what? And I was like really shocked that it'd come early. And then I remember just taking it out, and I just remember whipping it in my arm, and then, you know, breastfeeding the baby. And I started nurturing the baby, which also is significant and has specific meaning. And I was nurturing this baby, and I remember even my sister, seeing my sister in the dream, she was coming up behind me, and I remember her walking. She was like, what, it came early? And I was like, yeah, I'm really confused. And then I woke up, And from that, I felt like God was saying that about, like, you know, my destiny, my purpose, like my future, something that God is putting into my hands, this big responsibility that I didn't expect so early, but has come early. And I do believe that this is basically what's happening now. That I do believe a lot is about to change in my life. A lot of things are going to change in the nation, and things are about to shift and change. And I just pray that you guys, like I said, start listening to God more. Do what you feel like He's placed on your heart. Like, pray about it. You know, if you feel there's something really heavy on your heart that He's placed, pray about it. Pray about it. I'm telling you, God will answer you. He doesn't always answer straight away, and I've had that struggle sometimes, and that impatience when, you know, you pray about something and you're getting frustrated because you're like, oh, well, you're not answering me. I want to hear, like I want to hear you, like, can you talk? But you get frustrated and you're like, no, and you keep praying about it day after day after day. I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about. You're just like, God, come on, like, just talk. And He answers in ways that we do not expect. He doesn't always answer in actual words. Like, He answers in picture form, or things that might happen, or, you know, things that work out, or, you know, experiences, something. I'm telling you, God knows what He's doing. Just trust Him. He knows best. Remember, He knew you before you were born. Before you were placed in your mother's womb, He knew you. Yeah? So He knows what's best for you. He has your whole life planned out. Are you going to listen? Are you going to be obedient? I advise you do, because it is the best thing that you can do. And you can't hide from God, like, especially if He's put a big call in your life. You can keep running, but you can't hide. Like, for me, I felt like my life is so much better, so much more peaceful, so amazing, that now God's a part of it, that God's a big part of my life. But yeah. But anyway, guys, so I am going to end this video now because I've gone on and on. But just remember that God is looking for His bridge builders, His gap fillers, and His wall builders. Are you going to be that person? Are you going to be the chosen one? Listen to God, be obedient. It is the best thing that you can do. And honestly, it is amazing to walk with God. Like, His love is just beyond explainable, beyond measure. And yeah, like, this was just, I just wanted to share with you, you know, this, should I say, prophetic word, you know, with just about what's about to come, and, you know, what I feel like God's sharing with me, and the experience that I had last night. You know, hopefully many more to come. I know that there's many more to come that God's going to share with me, and I just pray that I'm continue to be obedient as well in uploading these videos and sharing them with you guys. But I hope you have a good evening, good day, whatever time you watch this. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. You know, comment down below anything that you want to talk about. If you have any questions, queries, anything, feel free.